If you're into first-person shooters and you haven't heard of Wolfenstein, then chances are you've been living under a rock. Wolfenstein 3D was the game to create the FPS genre in 1992. It was rebooted in 2001 with the Return to Castle Wolfenstein, which also spawned a sequel, and Wolfenstein The New Order is a sequel to that and a soft reboot to the franchise.
You're still breathing, you chummy bastard. It's tough as they come, you know. Jesus Christ.
Set in World War II, the story follows an American soldier from the previous games, William B.J. Blazkowicz. While it is a sequel, it isn't necessary to play the previous games in the series, as the story itself is straightforward and self-contained. It starts with a typical storm onto a Nazi base, however things turn for the worse and your character is put into a coma state. After 14 years, you finally awake to find that the world is not how you left it and the Nazis actually won the war. It's a very interesting and different take on the World War II genre, which also allows the developers to create different and interesting weapons and vehicles and locations. The game was released as a multi-platform cross-gen game and it definitely shows. I reviewed this game on PS4 and while it did look decent, it was noticeable that this game was developed with older hardware in mind. The game is played through in chapters with lots of varied locations which keep the game fresh. The character models and weapons all look and sound decent but aren't particularly outstanding. And as this game is set in an alternate time, the developers have added their own design flair to the buildings, weapons and vehicles. This was great as it gave the game something to help it stand out among all the other hundreds of World War II themed games.
Alright, Blazko, back to work. Get out!
Now let's be honest, how different can you make a first-person shooter? You walk to your objectives, take cover, shoot, reload, rinse and repeat, right? Maybe there'll be some switches to activate or keys to find to open locked doors. There isn't really anything new you can bring to first-person shooters. There is a lean out of cover mechanic in the game, however this is something that has been introduced in other games. The most welcome gameplay element were the perks, which were locked behind some challenges. This was pretty good as it encouraged you to play differently and make some different kills in order to unlock specific perks. You may normally like to play stealthily with a silenced pistol, however to unlock a specific perk you may need to kill 10 enemies using dual-wield guns. You do have the choice to play the game however you want. You can go in guns blazing or you can go the stealth route. But there are certain portions of the game where it is encouraged to play a little bit more stealthily. The game will alert you of commanders in the vicinity, and if these commanders are alerted to your presence, they will sound an alarm and call reinforcements. And these reinforcements will continuously be called until you take out all the existing commanders. So if your style is to turtle behind cover and wait for all enemies to slowly die before moving forward, well that isn't going to happen in this game.
He's in the main room behind the table. Go over there and you should find the welder somewhere down in the water somewhere.
There were also a couple of chapters in the game which felt like filler. Your character will be tasked to find certain objects such as a book or a welding tool. I guess the developers wanted the player to explore the world they've created and build an atmosphere, but I felt these sections were just plain boring. Running around the base looking in every room for a book or a tool isn't fun at all. Thankfully though, there were only a couple of these parts in the game.
William, can you hear me? You'll have to make your way all the way through the sewer tunnels and into the Berlin catacombs. I'll try to guide you through.
Wolfenstein The New Order is a single player only game with no multiplayer and a campaign that lasts approximately 10 hours. There are multiple difficulties, and if you want to obtain the Platinum Trophy, you will need to play the game on the hardest difficulty, which honestly isn't that hard. There are a few trouble spots, however for the most part you will feel like you're playing on normal. So altogether you are looking at roughly 20 to 25 hours to 100% the game, with the remainder of your playtime coming from cleaning up trophies and finding all the collectibles. Overall, Wolfenstein The New Order is a decent game with enough to warrant a playthrough. Everything in the game is done pretty well, and there are some unique takes in story and weaponry. If you do see it on sale or pre-owned, I would recommend playing it, especially if you are a fan of first-person shooters or the World War II genre. However, it's not an amazing must-play title, and its low replayability makes it a game I cannot recommend you buy at full price.